Right. Morning, everybody. So we've got week 3 of the watercolour project. So I've just got this week and next week. I thought this week would be an opportunity to just practice some of the techniques that we've been looking at over the last couple of weeks. So basically, it was we did flat washes, sort of graded washes, and wet washes. So I was thinking perhaps sort of find an image that we could just practice some of those in, really. So I've got two options here. If you want to use these, or there's lots of others. So the one I'm going to use will be this one. So that's a picture I took a while ago. Some pictures on the wall in Bradwell. And this was a sort of like, you know, from an advert. But I thought there's similar sort of images, a building and a bit of landscape. So that's what we'll be using. Right, so I thought I've actually sketched it out already, but I'll just go through very briefly the drawing aspect of it. So that's what we worked out last week was wet washes. So I was suggesting like a sunset image. So if you weren't around last week and wanted to practice that, I've got some of those images there. So in terms of the drawing, I've picked this one because I thought it's quite a nice sort of image, but it's not overcomplicated. It's just like one building and a bit of landscape. There's one tiny boat there. So starting with the drawing, I tend to start at the top, so with the building. And what I found was when I was sketching out this out last night, I thought it was really important to make sure that this is on the same plane as your paper. Because basically all you've got to do is judge these angles. But if you've got your paper like that, you know, you're going to be seeing the angle very differently from if it's like that. I know this is something I do mentally quite often, and that's vitally important. I've only got 2 of these, but these are a way of standing your picture up, or if you can improvise some other method, that would be great. Even if it's just like a pot, you know, a pot, and then you picture against the pot, something like that. And that way you're seeing your image square on, as it were. So basically just kind of judge that angle. And we need to make sure that this one is roughly the mirror opposite. So if it helps, just pop a centre line down the middle. That's a bit of my engineering drawing technique. And then kind of work that off there. You could then, obviously we've got this little window. I can't draw that quite yet, but that's the position about there. And then we could just see how much space we need. So if we drew that one there, we just need to make sure that it's the same distance to the other side. Let's do that. So that's just getting the basic angles. And then the ridge, this bit on the top is a little bit of an angle like that. So that will come down like that. Then we need to just sort of work out how much of the roof we're seeing. And then again, this kind of guttering level, there's just a tiny bit of angle there because my eye level was down probably about here, roughly on the horizon. That's roughly where I would have been when I took that photo. So anything above the eye level, you're going to get angles sort of fanning out like that. So there'll be a little bit of angle there. And then down from there. And then it's then just a matter of just windows, have a look how far up these shrubs come. And then it's worth just drawing these a few lines out just because we have got quite different colours here. So we don't. So the horizon is about there. About there. So these kind of light grasses coming to here, and then this kind of curve of the path. That's the basic drawing of it. And if you've got something like that, you're going to be well on the way. So as I say, I had to go at that earlier. That's what I've got. Let's go these ones a little bit. And then with the watercolours, what we really want to do is work light to dark. So what bit do you think is the lightest part?
Sky.
Do you think the sky?
Probably grasses. grasses.
Grasses, yeah. It's difficult to tell, isn't it? I think it's probably grasses. And then I was sort of trying to think, well, is that lighter than that? It might be a little bit. What I probably could have done is printed it off in black and white, and then you'd be able to see. So that's always, if you've got that function on your phone, you could always take a photo of that, look at it in black and white, and that will help reduce the tonal values. But I don't think I've got black and white one. So I'm going to say that is a tiny bit lighter than that, although it is quite. The way to try and judge it is to screw up your eyes, just half close your eyes, and just see which bits seem lighter.
Yeah,
So
lighter, isn't it?
I'm thinking this is the lightest, then possibly that and that, or it could be that and that. Then that gets a bit darker, that's a bit darker here. And the way I work with watercolours is to go, well, I generally go for the lightest bit. So what I might do is this bit here, and then I think I'll probably turn it upside down and have a go at this wash, because I can't get too many there. That's quite a different colour from that, so I don't want blue all over that bit. So let's try it that way. Just using a little bit of raw sienna, that colour, it's basically just a very pale yellow, just a slightly earthy yellow. If you've got some scrap paper, that's ideal just to test it out. Maybe a little bit of pinky colour in that too, that's a little bit of red. And just mix plenty of it so that you're not going to run out. So we're basically making little puddles, and I can see that. But I noticed when I was coming around, a lot of people painting very dryly. This bit here is slightly darker, so I might be able to do the light and dark at the same time. So that just wants to be a tiny bit darker than the colour, the white of the paper on the border, really. Something like that. Maybe go a fraction darker. And see, yeah, I think that might be too much. Soften it out with a bit of water. It doesn't really matter if I get this bit wet because this is going pink, which maybe I'll pop that pinky colour in at the same time. And over here it's just going to get a little bit stronger, just going to add a little bit of brown to that. And a little bit more red, it's a kind of pinky brown. And then, yeah, I can just let that drain out into that. Around here where the path is, obviously I'm not going to be able to complete the whole image as a demo because bits are going to need to dry. So this bit is a slightly darker pink. I think that's too dark, so I'm just lighten that up a little bit, just wash some of that back out before it dries. And you remember, you know, while the paper's wet and the paint's wet, you have got time to make adjustments. As soon as it starts to dry, it's best to just let it dry. Right, so I'll just drain that off, and then I'm turn it upside down because if I paint the sky here, we're having this board this way, it's just going to drain right into that. So let's do that way. This might drain back a little bit. So I want a big area of blue, and I shall use one of my wash brushes to get that in there quite quick. I've got some cobalt and some cerulean here. So a little bit of mixture of both, I think. To me it's got a slightly greenish tinge. So that and lots of water. A bit more pigment in there. And again, just test that out, see what that looks like. I think that's probably all right, because it is quite pale. So again, it's one of those sort of flat wash areas. I don't want to get that in the building itself. But I do want to keep this, just keep these edges here wet so that it doesn't start to dry out. So reasonable size brush, and I'll go for the big brush as well in a minute. I can do that. And then, don't worry, and the bigger brush. Thank you. Could be a bit stronger, I think, couldn't it? Let's make it a tiny bit stronger. While it's still wet, I've probably got a chance to get it stronger next. Actually, I don't mind if it's slightly varied because it's a very flat sky. The other thing you can do with sky is if you wanted to have some bits darker than others, next bit here, you can do this sort of thing, perhaps put some clouds in there. And you can also lift areas out. So with a clean brush, this way. So basically I just kind of wet it first and dry it. And then while it's still wet, I should be able to just kind of lift little bits out. Like that. So give them the brush and clouds. So I'll turn that back up. Trying that and turn that back up. Yeah, I think I like that. I think that might be more interesting than just flat. Yeah. At the end of the day, you can always do another same bit of paper. They've got to let that white dry, and this is where, you know, sometimes it helps to have a couple on the go. You could have, maybe do two versions of this, or do this one and have a go at the other one, or one of the others first. That's a little bit of a hard edge there, but hopefully we can lose that. Is that enough for the time being? Yeah. So it's then progressively getting darker. Probably I'll go for the sea next, or this bit here. I could paint the whole of that in some sort of pinky reddy tone, and then let that dry, and then work in the darker tones on top. Yep.
What did you lift it with? I couldn't see.
Just a clean brush.
Okay.
So just a clean brush. This one's natural hair, so it's more absorbent.
Clean and dry.
Yeah, well, it's sort of, yeah, I kind of wet it first. You don't want it absolutely dry, but it's sort of damp brush,
Okay.
really. Then it's sort of thirsty for much doing it. So, yep.